What is the best piece of advice someone has given you? At any job, seek out a competent, more experienced person to latch onto and gain whatever knowledge they have. Once you have learned all you can from them, find someone else willing to share their knowledge. Repeat this throughout your career and you will go far. I can't remember who gave me this advice, but it has served me well in my professional life. Eat their brains to gain their knowledge. The validation you seek from others is validation you refuse to give yourself. Someone on the internet's asterisk. It's more important to do right than to be right. While it may be really satisfying to be right, it can alienate people, etc. It's much more important to do things the right way, treating people well, etc. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. Maya Angelou. In other words, don't ignore red flags, don't make excuses for them, don't justify their actions. If they show you they're a bad person, then they're a bad person. This is one of two pieces of advice I tell people constantly. The other is, you're the product of the 3 people you spend the most time with, not the 3 people you like the most, not your 3 best friends, the 3 people you spend the most time with. This includes your coworkers, roommates, bosses, classmates, etc. If you're in a toxic relationship or environment with anyone you're in close proximity with, you'll end up normalizing that behavior, and it reflects in the person you are and will become. Wear sunscreen. If I could offer you one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. Be kind to your knees, you'll miss those when they're gone. You can't change the wind, but you can adjust your sails. I grew up being raised by a single mother, so I never had a father figure around to teach me the finer points of being a man. One day at school, I would have only been 9 or 10 at the time, a friend of mine introduced me to his older brother. The older kid would have been 12 or 13 at the oldest, but to me he seemed like an adult. He offered me a handshake. I gave him a limp-wristed dead fish shake. He took me aside and patiently explained to me how to give a real handshake. Look the other guy in the eye, firm grip. Even helped me practice it a few times. That was more than 20 years ago. I cannot for the life of me remember his name, but I still remember the lessons he imparted on me that day. I remember it every time somebody extends to me their hand in friendship. Ironic that the first thing any novice conman learns is how to do a really convincing real handshake. Your success in life is largely dependent on how many uncomfortable conversations you're willing to have. My former boss told me this when I was denied re-enrollment to my university to finish my degree. He encouraged me to take a day off from work, drive down to the university, and negotiate with them in person about the ordeal. Being a very non-confrontational person, I would never have done this in my own. Sure enough, I spoke to the offices about it and I was able to enroll. He later used this line again when he had to lay me off because of financial constraints. But thanks to the same advice, I was planning on leaving work anyways to attend school full-time. Never burn a bridge. You never know when you might need someone. Professionally, agree completely. Personally, let it burn. It can be so satisfying. Have a wank before making a big decision. And do you, Viderf Brisbane, take Jane placeholder dough to be your lawfully wedded wife? Unzip splice one moment. Do not try to solve your friend problem, let them find their own solution. I'd go more with, help them find the solution themselves. If a genuine friend asks for your help, it's not friendly at all to reply with, figure it out yourself. They would not be asking for help if finding the solution was that easy. This may sound kind of morbid, but it was actually good advice. My husband was dying and an older friend told me that when he passed, clean out his closet right away and get rid of all of his things except for a few sentimental ones. She said the longer you wait and keep things, they become sentimental, and underwear isn't sentimental. That way you won't have to relive it years down the road when you finally get to it. To each his own, but I did what she said and it made the grieving process a lot easier. This was 16 years ago and that was some of the best advice I got while he was ill. My great-grandma said this same thing and only one of her kids took it to heart. The rest think that kid is heartless for following this, but I feel it is really handy to follow. Also, my grandmother always said, death is a part of life, and told me not to fear it or I would be too scared to live. It seems weird when people are terrified of the inevitable. Don't take life too seriously, you'll never get out alive. Never thought a National Lampoon movie would have a serious impact on me, but like it's a damn good statement emo. Also, someone once said to me that art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Which only years later did I found out that it was a Marcus Aurelius quote, but it stuck with me hard. Most people don't seek to be happy. They seek to find a way of peace. When I walk down the street and I look at a man who looks like he's doing fine, he isn't happy, he's simply at peace. Happiness is what you feel when you get a raise or win a raffle or when you see a movie that's really good. But that feeling when you're at home just living, that not happiness that you want. It's peace. I forgot who told me this, but this philosophy helped me with a lot of shit, and I am now just straight vibbing in life now. The first to paper always wins. This has been incredible advice in a work situation. If you put in the time, thought and present or email something first, it's typically your idea that becomes the stake in the ground. My dad framed this as, if you're given the option, always call it. It doesn't matter if it's a coin flip or an execution method, if they ask you to decide, don't defer. In some card games, this gives you a statistical advantage, e.g., calling Trump in euchre. And in general, it's how you make your mark on the world, for better or worse. As they say, fortune favors the bold. Don't wait for every light between you and your destination to turn green before you leave your house. Basically, don't wait for everything to be perfect before making moves to reach your goals. It will never happen. Guard your heart. My mother's version of this was, never love anyone more than they love you. You don't give a shit about them. Why you care so much about what they say? Because they want what they say to become law? If everywhere you go smells like shit, you need to check your shoes. Don't let good opportunities pass you by because you were afraid. He's just a man. When I was a young electrician, I had trouble showing up on time, and was very worried about an ass chewing from my foreman. One journeyman I worked with told me that while I did need to straighten my business out and be on time, I shouldn't fear talking to a dude just because I work for him. He's just a man. He's here to pay bills and wants to go home, drink beer, and fuck his wife just like everyone else. So don't worry about him like that. Greater than and fuck his wife just like everyone else. I also choose this guy's wife? If you're going to be bad, be good at it. I love this. It's similar to, you are free to do whatever you want, as long as you don't get caught. I'm not promoting this worldview, but it's technically true. If you didn't see it with your own eyes or hear it with your own ears, don't invent it with your small mind and share it with your big mouth. Greater than work smarter, not harder. I amended it though. Greater than work smarter, asterisk then asterisk harder. Basically, work efficiently, but don't slack off just because you don't have to put forth as much effort to finish your tasks. Thanks, I look forward to sprouting those 50 extra IQ points. When I was in a relationship, my friend said, stay true to yourself. Basically meaning don't let the feeling of love and lust blind you from the truth. Not saying that didn't happen. I definitely got caught up in it. But looking back now, it was fantastic advice. It's not so much advice as it is insight. I was preoccupied by a situation I sort of created for myself, and a good friend pointed out that the reason why I'm so invested in a self-created dilemma is that I am just looking for a change in life and latching onto a random outside thing to sort of pull myself into a new plotline, rather than actually care that much about that whole situation. It's not that important, you're just looking for a change, and it was the truth, plus I can see that same pattern many other times in myself and in others. Whether it's from unhappiness or boredom or uncertainty, people turn to something random to then preoccupy themselves with because it's easier, not because they really care that much. Your friend incredible. He must know you well, to have understand the root of why you were doing that. Good that he confronted you honestly. It's better to remain quiet and be thought a fool than to open your mouth and to remove all doubt. You are not too old to learn anything. Don't vent your emotions to someone else when you're tired and emotional at the same time. If you feel worn out and don't want to talk to people, get some rest and cool down your head. Be the person you need. It changed everything. Wasn't really advice, but he was right. You're sad because you mope around the house all day. So I went out and lived. Then I got MS, so I'm back to sitting around the house. This time though, I don't mope. I find something to do. Don't make big decisions when you are angry. Don't make promises when you're happy, and don't make decisions when you're mad. The difference between people who are successful at dating and those who aren't is the ability to deal with rejection. Changed my life. Holy shit, this is true. I had rejected my current boyfriend during high school and he completely accepted that and continued being platonic friends while respecting my boundaries. We're dating and living together now, lol. Respect boundaries, my dude. I remember one idiot that tried to compare a dude being rejected to a woman getting the notice that she's infertile. Bitch, no. Rejection is not the same thing as infertility. It's the same thing as rejection. Sounded sexist AF cause he thought that women don't get rejected. Face with rolling eyes. Never let a friend or family borrow more money than you're willing to give as a gift. If I give someone money and never see them again, I consider that money well spent. It's better to poop in the sink than sink in the poop. Greater than it's better to poop in the sink than sink in the poop. Surely that should be than. Always pack clean underwear. No joke. This comes in handy so often. Especially when your Friday evening drive to unwind turns into a 3-day road trip for no other reason than you can. Sudden urge to drive 800 miles to see the Grand Canyon? No problem, you packed clean underwear. Spent all night partying with a bunch of people you've never met before and wake up in a stranger's bed? No problem, you packed clean underwear. Spend all night painting the town red and wind up in jail? Guess what? They give you clean underwear, and when you get out, no problem, you packed clean underwear. Nothing's worse than putting on dirty underwear from 2 years ago when you got locked up in jail for starting the courthouse on fire in a drunken stupor. Always pack clean underwear. Does this advice stem from experience? Tears of joy. Look out for number 1. You're no help to anyone if you're no help to yourself. Look out for number 1 first. But don't forget to help the other guy afterwards. The moment you put someone on a pedestal, they will look down upon you. The trick is respecting each other equally. Save 10% of every paycheck when you have the ability to do so. Wish I'd have followed that advice. Similarly, max out 401k contributions while you're young. Once in like 5th or 6th grade, one couldn't sleep because I was worried about a school project. I went and woke up my mom and told her about it, and she asked me, "Is there anything you can do about it right now?" All the stuff for my project was at school, so I told her no. Then she said, "Then there's no need to worry about it right now." That was an eye-opener for me. I went back to bed and fell asleep no problem. Never really had any issues with anxiety since. I've always been able to set boundaries for myself and know when it's time to worry about something and when it's not. 90% in life will be bad moments, stress, anger toward society, etc. 0.10% in life will be pure happiness, so enjoy every single moment of happiness. I don't think 90% of your life has to be bad, but I agree pure joy is rare. It's just the nature of things. You grow accustomed to things to a degree no matter how great they are. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Thanks Grandpa. Stop worrying about your goal without making the first step to it. Always think about the next step to reach the goal. A ghoul in Fallout New Vegas told me, "Time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time." You're not going to win, from my husband. Sounds awful, but this was in reference to my very first 5K when I took up running. I was so nervous, and he just laughed and told me I wasn't going to win, so don't worry about it. Nobody on the course cared in the slightest how fast or slow I ran, so just run for myself and do the best I can. It really helped put in perspective that the pressure I was putting on myself was imaginary, and I've carried that with me in a lot of things since. I have a terrible temper. When I was younger, a group of assholes at my school found it funny to purposefully trigger me. Usually with success. I kind of suffered this a couple years until my grandmother told me that they get just as annoyed if I don't react as I got from them annoying me. I took it to heart and it totally worked. I didn't react, and after a couple of months they stopped. I know that this won't work for everyone, but it totally turned my life around. Everyone is replaceable. It will be hard at first, but you'll get over it. When you do things right, people won't be sure you did anything at all. Greater than, don't be a moron. If you go into debt for an education, it's because you need one. That the only person in your life who will always be there for you no matter what is your own self. Yeah, you might have close friends or family members, but they're not with you 24/7 and they can never fully relate to you. Trust yourself and learn to love and accept yourself. You are a boring person if you are not weird. You wouldn't do anything drunk you didn't at least think about sober. Shannon Sharp. Never give up. Trust your gut. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you react. Kicking someone's ass is sometimes the only way for them to listen. An assault charge never goes away. For the rest of your life, anytime potential employer runs a background check, or a cop pulls you over for speeding, that's the first thing they are going to see. I'd recommend finding other ways to get your point across that aren't illegal and don't permanently fuck you over. That's my piece of advice. You will be rarely given authority, so just take it. Try your best not to need to lie, but if you need to, lie your best. That love is a verb and not a feeling. Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone, just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had. My father recommended me a book called How to Make Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I have learned a lot about social interactions from it. I am also very asocial and introverted. I still keep this book with me after like 15 years, and my father has no clue I took his advice. That's a great call, Rapt_. In all seriousness, this book helped me too, particularly something as simple as making sure other people know when you appreciate something they've done for you. Always rock out with your cock out. And jam out with your clam out. If you don't fuck her, somebody else will, so just go and have sex. Yes, but she wants sex with somebody else. Anybody else. Prioritize your focus on what people do versus what they say. Cut open a croissant in the middle, Put butter inside, then put it in the microwave on convection with 180 degrees, heat it up for 8 minutes, then you got an amazing croissant.
Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.